The massive space station floated in the darkness between three bright suns. Its crystal walls sparkled like diamonds as the light hit them from different angles. Inside the great chamber, beings from across the galaxy sat in a perfect circle. Some looked like giant insects with sharp claws and many eyes. Others were made of living stone that glowed with inner light. A few appeared to be floating clouds of gas held together by strange energy fields. At one small section of this enormous room sat the humans. Ambassador Jake Morrison adjusted his dark blue uniform and looked around at the alien faces staring at him. His gray hair was neat and his face showed the lines that came from years of difficult work. Next to him sat Admiral Lisa Campbell in her military dress uniform with silver stars on her shoulders. Her brown eyes were calm but ready for trouble. Dr. Amy Patterson sat on Jake's other side with her tablet full of scientific data and proposals. For peace, the negotiations had been going on for 6 long months. Every day the humans came to this chamber hoping to find a way for their people to live in peace with the other species of the galaxy. Every day they were told the same thing. Humans were too dangerous. Humans were too violent. Humans could not be trusted with the freedom to explore space and build colonies on new worlds. Jake stood up slowly and cleared his throat. The translator device around his neck would carry his words to every being in the chamber in their own language. Honored members of the Galactic Council, he began, humanity comes before you today with our final offer for peace. The great chamber fell silent. Even the strange humming sounds that some aliens made when they breathed seemed to stop. Jake continued speaking in a steady voice. We offer to share all our medical knowledge freely with every species here. Our doctors have found cures for diseases that have killed millions across the galaxy. We offer to teach our farming methods that can triple food production on any world. We offer to share our manufacturing techniques that can build stronger materials using fewer resources. A loud clicking sound filled the air. It came from Speaker Zethai, the leader of the Galactic Council. He was 8 feet tall with 4 arms and a head that looked like a giant mantis. His compound eyes reflected the chamber lights as he moved his sharp mandibles together. Your species has existed for less than 1 million years, he said through his translator. We have built civilizations that span 10 million years of history. What could you possibly teach us? Dr. Amy Patterson leaned forward in her chair. Her voice was soft but clear. Respected speaker, in the past 50 years we have made contact with 17 different alien species. Every one of them has benefited from working with humans. The Altarians now live 30% longer because of our medical advances. The Kepler colonies produce enough food to feed twice their population using our agricultural methods. Enough. The word came from Resonance of Truth, a member of the crystalline hegemony. She looked like a walking diamond the size of a person with light dancing inside her transparent body. Your kind fights wars with each other over resources and territory. You poison your own air and water. You cannot even maintain peace on your homeworld. Why should we trust you with the galaxy? Admiral Campbell spoke for the first time that day. Her voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of someone who had seen real battle. We have offered to accept Galactic Council observers on all our colonies. We have agreed to limit our expansion to systems that no other species claims. We have even offered to submit our military forces to joint command structures. What more can we give? The floating gas cloud that represented the void swimmers pulsed with different colors as it spoke. You can give us your absence, it said. Return to your solar system and stay there. This is not negotiation. This is our final decision. Jake looked around the chamber at faces that showed no kindness or understanding. These beings had made up their minds long before the humans arrived. They saw humanity as nothing more than young savages who had learned to build spaceships. They could not see past their own fear and prejudice. Let me tell you what we have observed about your species, Speaker Zethai continued. You wage war. Constantly. In your brief history, you have killed more of your own kind than most species kill in 10 million years. You consume resources without thought for the future. You are emotional and unpredictable. These traits make you unsuitable for galactic civilization. Dr. Patterson stood up next to Jake. Her hands shook slightly, but her voice was strong. Every species in this chamber has fought wars. Every species here has made mistakes. The difference is that we learn from ours, we grow, we become better. Our wars taught us the value of peace. Our mistakes taught us to be more careful. Our emotions give us the drive to solve problems that others have given up on. The chamber erupted in sounds of disagreement. Clicks, hums, whistles, and electronic tones filled the air as the alien representatives expressed their displeasure. Some stood up from their seats, others flashed with angry colors. A few made threatening gestures with claws or tentacles. Jake raised his hand and waited for quiet. When the noise died down, he spoke again. We came here in good faith. We offered friendship, cooperation, and mutual benefit. We have shown you 50 years of peaceful contact with other species. We have shared our knowledge freely and asked for nothing but the right to exist among the stars. He paused and looked directly at Speaker Zethai. You have rejected every offer we have made. You have insulted our character and dismissed our achievements. You demand that we accept permanent imprisonment in our own solar system while you decide whether we deserve to live. The alien leader's mandibles clicked again. That is correct. You will return to Earth and remain there. You will end all colonization efforts immediately. You will recall all human settlements from space. Any violation of these terms will result in military action against your species. This is the will of the Galactic Council. Jake gathered the documents from the table in front of him. His movements were careful and deliberate. Admiral Campbell and Dr. Patterson stood up beside him. The three humans looked around the chamber one last time at the beings who had sealed their fate. Then these negotiations are finished, Jake said. His voice carried clearly through the vast space. Humanity thanks the Galactic Council for making their position clear. The human delegation walked toward the exit with dignity. Their footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. As they reached the doorway, Jake turned back to face the chamber. You have made your choice, he said. Now you will live with the consequences. The massive doors closed behind them with a sound like thunder. Inside the chamber, the alien representatives sat in their perfect circle, satisfied that they had solved the human problem. None of them understood that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. 3 weeks after the humans walked out of the Galactic Council chambers, Captain Ben Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance. The ship was one of humanity's newest and most powerful vessels, built with technology that the aliens thought they understood. Ben was a tall man with dark hair and calm brown eyes that had seen too many battles. His uniform was crisp and clean, but his face showed the weight of the orders he had just received. The message from Earthfleet Command was short and direct. Operation Exodus was now active. Every human ship, station, and colony in the galaxy would begin immediate withdrawal, but this was not a retreat. This was something far more dangerous to the aliens who thought they had won. Commander Kelly Barnes looked up from her tactical station. She was young for her rank, only 30 years old, but her mind was sharp and her loyalty to humanity absolute. Captain, we have confirmation from all 17 colony worlds. The civilian evacuation ships are launching ahead of schedule. The aliens won't even know we're leaving until we're already gone. Ben nodded and walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. These men and women had volunteered for the most dangerous mission in human history. They would help their entire species vanish from known space, taking with them secrets that could change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. What about our industrial centers? Ben asked. Kelly pulled up a holographic display that showed the locations of human manufacturing facilities throughout space. Titan Station is implementing scorched Earth protocols now. The Mars shipyards are shutting down all production lines and downloading their technical databases. The Jupiter mining platforms are preparing to go dark. If the aliens want our territory, they'll inherit nothing but empty metal shells. On Earth, President Helen Carter prepared to address the combined governments of humanity. She stood in the great assembly hall in New Geneva, looking out at representatives from every nation and colony. Her gray hair was pulled back severely, and her blue eyes were hard as steel. The speech she was about to give would be broadcast to every human settlement in the galaxy at the same time. "My fellow humans," she began, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had led her people through their darkest hour. "Today we face a choice that will determine the future of our species for generations to come. The Galactic Council has demanded our surrender. They want us to crawl back to our home system and accept that we are too dangerous, too primitive, too human to deserve a place among the stars." She paused and looked directly into the cameras that would carry her. Words across light years of space. "They are about to discover just how dangerous we really are." The plan had been in development for months, worked out in secret by humanity's best strategic minds. It was elegant in its simplicity and terrifying in its implications. Humanity would not fight a war they could not win. Instead, they would remove themselves from the equation entirely, taking with them something the aliens had never realized they needed. Dr. Ryan Foster sat in his laboratory deep beneath the mountains of Colorado. As the head of the Terran Science Council, he knew secrets that even most humans were not allowed to learn. Around him, holographic displays showed the locations of every piece of human technology that had been shared with alien civilizations over the past 50 years. "Send the recall codes to all our embedded systems," he told his assistant, Dr. Carol Wright. She was a small woman with red hair and green eyes that missed nothing. Her fingers moved quickly over the control interface as she began the process that would change everything. "The medical nanobots in the Altarian hospitals?" she asked. "Recalled," Ryan said firmly. "The quantum computing cores in the Zelthani research facilities?" "Recalled." "The fusion reactor designs that power half the space stations in the hegemony?" "Territories?" "All of it," Ryan said. "Every piece of human innovation, every breakthrough we shared with them, every solution we provided to their problems. We gave it freely and we can take it back just as easily." The truth was more devastating than any weapon humanity could have built. For 50 years, human scientists, engineers, doctors, and inventors had been solving problems that other species had given up on centuries ago. They had shared their discoveries freely, asking nothing in return but friendship and the right to exist. Peacefully among the stars, the aliens had accepted these gifts without understanding what they really meant. Human medical technology had extended lifespans across dozens of species. Human agricultural methods had ended famines on entire worlds. Human manufacturing techniques had revolutionized industry throughout the galaxy. Human innovations had become so integrated into alien society that removing them would cause catastrophic failures across multiple systems. Captain Rodriguez received another message from Fleet Command. Admiral Patricia Stone, the head of Human Space Forces, appeared on his screen. She was a woman in her 50s with short blonde hair and scars on her face from the early contact wars. Her expression was grim but determined. "Then Phase 2 is beginning now," she said. "All human personnel are to withdraw from joint facilities immediately. Our people working in alien hospitals, research centers, manufacturing plants, and government positions are to leave within the next 48 hours. Make sure they take their knowledge with them." Ben understood what she meant. It was not enough to remove human technology. They also had to remove human expertise. The aliens might be able to reverse engineer some of the equipment, but they could never replace the creative thinking that had made it possible in the first place. Dr. Amanda Hill was one of thousands of humans who worked in alien facilities throughout the galaxy. She was the chief medical officer at a major hospital on Kepler 442c, the same world where the peace negotiations had failed. For 3 years, she had worked alongside alien doctors to treat patients from dozens of different species. Now she stood in her office, packing the last of her personal belongings into a small case. Her alien colleague, Dr. Vex High, watched her with confusion in his compound eyes. "I do not understand," the insect-like being said through his translator. "Why must you leave? The work we do here saves lives. Political differences should not interfere with medical practice." Amanda looked at him with sadness in her human eyes. I'm sorry, Vexai. I truly am. But my people are no longer welcome in this galaxy. We've been told we're too dangerous to exist among civilized species. But the nanobots, Dr. Vexai protested. The cellular regeneration techniques, the neural repair protocols. Without these methods, we cannot treat 70% of our patients. Amanda picked up her case and walked toward the door. Then, you should have thought of that before you decided we were too primitive to deserve respect. All across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human teachers left alien schools, taking with them educational methods that had revolutionized learning. Human engineers abandoned construction projects, leaving behind half-finished structures that would never be completed. Human researchers deleted their files and shut down experiments that had promised breakthrough discoveries. President Carter's speech continued, broadcast to every corner of human space. We offered them partnership and they demanded submission. We offered them innovation and they saw only threat. We offered them friendship and they chose fear. Very well, let them have what they wanted. Let them have a galaxy without humans. The final phase of Operation Exodus was the most dramatic. Using technology that humanity had kept secret even from their closest alien allies, the evacuation fleet began to disappear from normal space. Ships, stations, and entire colonies seemed to simply cease to exist, leaving no trace of their passage. The aliens monitoring human space detected nothing unusual. Their sensors showed normal background radiation, empty vacuum, and the fading energy signatures of abandoned facilities. They had no way of knowing that humanity had mastered the art of existing between dimensions, of stepping outside the normal flow of space and time. As the last human ship vanished from the galaxy, President Carter spoke her final words to the Galactic Council. You wanted us gone, your wish is granted. But remember this day when your perfect civilization begins to crumble. Remember that you chose isolation over cooperation, fear over understanding, and supremacy over equality. The galaxy is yours now. Try not to break it. 6 months had passed since the last human ship disappeared from galactic space. The crystal chambers of the Galactic Council stations still sparkled in the light of 3 suns, but the mood inside was very different from the confident assembly that had dismissed humanity's final peace offer. Speaker Zethai stood at the center of the great chamber, his forearms moving in agitated patterns as he read report after report from across the galaxy. His compound eyes reflected the holographic displays that surrounded him, each one showing a different crisis unfolding in what had once been peaceful and prosperous systems. The medical centers on Altair Prime have lost 60% of their treatment capabilities, he announced to the gathered representatives. Their healing chambers are no longer responding to standard commands. The nanobots that repaired cellular damage at the molecular level have simply stopped functioning. Counselor Vexara of the crystalline hegemony flickered with nervous light patterns as she spoke. The same problems are spreading through our territories. Our manufacturing plants are producing defective materials. The quantum computing cores that managed our trade networks are experiencing cascading failures. Our scientists cannot explain what is happening. Ambassador Tyron of the Void Swimmers rippled his gelatinous form in distress. 17 of our agricultural worlds are reporting crop failures. The enhancement protocols that tripled our food production have mysteriously ceased to function. Our people face starvation if this continues. The truth was becoming impossible to ignore, though none of the alien leaders wanted to admit it. For 50 years, human innovation had quietly become integrated into every aspect of galactic civilization. The aliens had accepted these improvements as natural progress, never realizing how dependent they had become on human ingenuity. Dr. Quintal, the chief researcher for the Zelthani Empire, entered the chamber carrying data tablets that glowed with urgent information. He was a tall, thin being with pale blue skin and large black eyes that held obvious worry. Honored counselors, he began, I have completed my analysis of the technological failures occurring throughout our space. Speaker Zethai's mandibles clicked impatiently. Speak quickly, Doctor. Our people need answers. Dr. Quintal activated a holographic projector that filled the chamber with three-dimensional diagrams. The humans did not sabotage our technology. They simply removed their contributions to it. What we believed were improvements to our existing systems were actually complete replacements built around human principles that we never fully understood. The display showed the internal structure of a standard medical nanobots. Half of the components were highlighted in red, indicating human-designed elements. Our healing technology relied on human neural network processors to make real-time decisions about cellular repair. Without these processors, the nanobots cannot function beyond basic programmed responses. Vexara's crystalline body pulsed with angry light. Impossible. Our medical science is millions of years old. We cannot be dependent on such a young species. Age does not equal innovation, Dr. Quintal replied quietly. The humans approach problems differently than any species we have encountered. Where we develop solutions through logical progression over thousands of years, they create breakthroughs through what they call lateral thinking. The next diagram showed a fusion reactor design. Again, critical components were highlighted in red. Our power systems used human-designed containment fields that were 40% more efficient than traditional models. Their approach to plasma control eliminated instabilities that had plagued our reactors for millennia. Tyron's gaseous form shifted colors as he processed this information. Are you saying that human technology was superior to ours? Not superior, Dr. Quintal corrected. Different. Humans think in ways that our species cannot easily replicate. They combine unrelated technologies, ignore established limitations, and find solutions that violate conventional wisdom. They make impossible things seem routine. The presentation continued with devastating clarity. Human-designed gravity generators powered the artificial environments on thousands of space stations. Human communication protocols had reduced message delays across the galaxy by orders of magnitude. Human transportation systems moved cargo and passengers more efficiently than anything the aliens had developed in millions of years of civilization. Most critically, human medical advances had become essential to the survival of several species. The Corvan race had been dying from a genetic disorder until human doctors developed a treatment that required constant monitoring by human-designed diagnostic equipment. The Nexus Collective relied on human neural interfaces to maintain their group consciousness across interstellar distances. The scope of our dependence is far greater than anyone realized, Dr. Quintal concluded. Human innovations have become the foundation for modern galactic civilization. Without them, we face systematic collapse of our most essential systems. The chamber fell silent as the alien leaders absorbed this information. They had dismissed humanity as primitive and dangerous, never recognizing that human creativity and problem-solving abilities had quietly revolutionized their entire society. Speaker Zephi broke the silence with an angry clicking of his mandibles. This cannot be accurate. Our civilizations existed for millions of years before humans left their home planet. We can certainly survive without their assistance. Dr. Quintal's expression remained respectfully neutral, but his next words carried devastating implications. Honored speaker, our civilizations survived, but they did not thrive. Human contact accelerated our development by thousands of years. We became accustomed to progress that seemed natural but was actually driven by human innovation. New reports were arriving every hour from across the galaxy. The hegemony's crystal cities were experiencing power failures as their fusion reactors struggled without human containment technology. The Void Swimmers' exploration fleets were stranded in distant systems because their faster-than-light communication arrays had gone offline. The Zelthani Empire's food distribution networks were collapsing as their automated systems failed without human guidance protocols. Worse still, the aliens were discovering that they could not simply reverse engineer the human technology that remained in their systems. The innovations were too integrated, too dependent on understanding principles that human scientists had never fully explained to their alien colleagues. Commander Sekai of the Combined Defense Forces approached the Council with military intelligence that made the situation even more urgent. Our analysis of human space shows no trace of their civilization. No energy signatures, no debris fields, no abandoned installations. They have vanished completely. That is impossible, Vexara insisted. No species can hide an entire civilization from our sensors. Our best scientists agree with you, Commander Sekai replied. Yet the evidence is undeniable. Humanity has disappeared from normal space, taking their knowledge and expertise with them. The implications were staggering. The humans had not. Simply withdrawn to some distant corner of the galaxy where they could be found and negotiated with. They had stepped outside the boundaries of known physics, using technology that the aliens could not even comprehend. As days turned into weeks, the crisis deepened. Worlds that had enjoyed prosperity and growth for decades found themselves struggling with basic survival. Medical emergencies became untreatable disasters. Agricultural systems failed, threatening entire populations with starvation. Manufacturing plants produced inferior goods as their human-enhanced processes broke down. The most disturbing aspect was the pattern of failures. Systems that had maintained friendly relations with human colonies experienced minimal disruption. Their human partners had apparently left behind basic maintenance protocols and backup systems. But territories controlled by species that had strongly supported the Council's ultimatum faced complete systemic collapse. Dr. Quinto presented his final report to a closed session of the Council's inner circle. The humans did not act out of spite or vengeance. They simply honored our demand that they remove themselves from galactic civilization. In doing so, they took their innovations with them, leaving us to face the consequences of our dependence. The alien leaders sat in stunned silence as they realized the magnitude of their mistake. They had feared human aggression and unpredictability, never understanding that humanity's greatest weapon was not military might but creative intelligence. In trying to protect themselves from perceived danger, they had driven away the very force that could have elevated their entire civilization to new heights. Outside the crystal chambers, the galaxy continued its spiral into crisis. Emergency. Meetings were called on hundreds of worlds as governments struggled to maintain basic services without human technology. The Galactic Council faced the growing possibility that their ancient civilization might not survive the loss of humanity's contribution. The irony was bitter and complete. In demanding that humans prove they were civilized enough for galactic society, the aliens had demonstrated that they themselves lacked the wisdom to recognize the value of what they were destroying. 1 year after humanity vanished from galactic space, the crisis had spread to every corner of known civilization. Entire star systems faced collapse as their technology failed without human innovations to support them. The Galactic Council could no longer ignore the reality of their situation. They needed to find humanity and somehow convince them to return. Fleet Commander Zorath stood on the bridge of the massive exploration vessel Eternal Harmony. He was a member of the ancient Corvani species, beings who had explored space for over 3 million years. His tall frame was covered in dark scales that reflected light like polished metal, and his 4 eyes could see across multiple spectrums of radiation. He had been chosen to lead the largest search operation in galactic history because of his reputation for finding things that others considered lost forever. Around him, the bridge buzzed with activity as representatives from dozens of species worked together to track down any trace of human presence. 3,000 ships from the combined galactic forces had spread out from the galactic core, following every possible path that the human evacuation fleet might have taken. "Status report," Zorath commanded, his deep voice carrying the authority of someone who had never failed a mission. Navigator Prime Selune materialized at his side in a shimmer of blue energy. She was a being of pure consciousness contained within a crystalline matrix, capable of calculating trajectories across impossible distances. "Commander, our search fleets have examined over 50,000 star systems in the past 6 months. We have found no evidence of human settlement, no residual energy signatures, no debris fields or abandoned installations." Zorath's scaled brow furrowed in concentration. "That is impossible." No species can move an entire civilization without leaving some trace of their passage. Even with their advanced technology, the humans would need fuel, supplies, and time to establish new colonies. Science Officer Dr. Catherine, a small furry being with large, intelligent eyes, looked up from the sensor array. Commander, our analysis suggests that the humans did not flee to another location within our galaxy. The pattern of their disappearance indicates something far more sophisticated than simple relocation. The holographic display in the center of the bridge showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy with red dots marking every system where humans had maintained a presence. One by one, the dots had gone dark over a period of just 6 weeks, but not in any pattern that suggested movement from one location to another. Explain, Zorath ordered. Dr. Catherine manipulated the hologram to show timeline data. The evacuation was simultaneous across all human territories. Ships and colonies and systems thousands of light years apart all disappeared within hours of each other. This level of coordination would require communication technology that operates faster than our most advanced systems. Navigator Salone pulsed with analytical light. More disturbing is the complete absence of gravitational disturbances. When our species relocate large populations, the movement of mass creates detectable changes in local spacetime. The human evacuation shows no such effects. The implications were troubling. Every known method of space travel left traces that could be followed by experienced trackers. Ships created wake patterns in subspace. Large fleets generated gravitational anomalies. Even the most advanced stealth technology could not hide the movement of entire civilizations from sensors designed to detect such activities. Captain Nexville of the exploration ship Deep Current reported in from the Outer Rim territories. She was a member of the aquatic tidal species, her voice carrying the musical quality of her water-breathing people. Fleet Commander, we have investigated the former human colony on Kepler 438b. The settlement infrastructure remains intact, but all human technology has been removed with surgical precision. Define surgical precision, Zorath replied. The buildings remain standing, but every piece of equipment that contained human innovations has been extracted. Power cores, computer systems, medical devices, manufacturing equipment, all gone. Yet there is no evidence of hasty evacuation. No damaged structures, no abandoned personal belongings, no signs of struggle or panic. Similar reports came in from search teams across the galaxy. Human colonies had been evacuated with impossible thoroughness. Not only had the people disappeared, but every trace of their technological contributions had vanished with them. It was as if humanity had performed surgery on the galaxy itself, carefully removing every piece of their civilization while leaving everything else untouched. Dr. Patricia Kumar, working from a research facility that existed in folded space-time, monitored the alien search efforts with professional interest. She was a small woman with graying hair and sharp green eyes that missed nothing. Around her, banks of equipment tracked the movement of every search ship while remaining completely invisible to their sensors. They're still thinking in 3 dimensions, she explained to her research partner, Dr. Marcus Webb. He was a tall man with dark skin and the calm demeanor of someone who had spent years working with theoretical physics. Even after all our technological exchanges, they never grasped the implications of our dimensional manipulation theories. The truth was both simpler and more complex than the aliens could imagine. Humanity had not fled to some distant galaxy, or hidden in unexplored regions of space. They had stepped outside the normal boundaries of reality itself, using breakthroughs in physics that they had kept secret from even their closest alien allies. Dr. Webb adjusted the dimensional field generators that kept their facility anchored in normal space. The mathematics alone would take their best scientists centuries to understand. We're not just invisible to their sensors, we're existing in a completely different framework of space-time. The human evacuation had been made possible by discoveries that violated everything the aliens thought they knew about the universe. Space could be folded, Time could be stretched, and entire civilizations could exist in parallel dimensions that occupied the same physical coordinates as normal space without ever interacting with it, back on the eternal harmony Zorath received reports from search teams that had expanded their operations beyond the galaxy itself. Exploration fleets had investigated nearby galaxies, dimensional anomalies, and even theoretical locations suggested by the most advanced alien scientists. "Commander," Communications Officer Veltar announced, "we are receiving a priority transmission." From the Galactic Council, the holographic image of Speaker Zethai appeared on the bridge, his compound eyes reflecting the urgent nature of his message. "Fleet Commander Zorath, what is your progress in locating the human civilization?" Zorath's 4 eyes focused on the council leader with regret. "Honored Speaker, after 1 year of intensive searching with our most advanced technology and experienced personnel, we have found no trace of human presence anywhere in known space." The pause that followed was filled with the weight of galactic crisis. "Continue your search," Zethai finally ordered. "Expand to neighboring galaxies. Investigate every dimensional anomaly, every unexplained energy signature, every theoretical possibility. Our civilization depends on finding them." The transmission ended, leaving Zorath to contemplate the impossible task before him. He had explored the furthest reaches of space, discovered lost civilizations that had been missing for millions of years, and solved mysteries that had puzzled the galaxy's greatest minds. But humanity had accomplished something that defied every principle of physics and exploration that he understood. Dr. Seluane materialized beside him again, her energy form flickering with uncertainty. "Commander, I must report something that troubles our scientific understanding. We have detected energy signatures that suggest the humans possess technology far beyond what they shared with galactic civilization." "Explain." "The residual patterns at their former colonies show evidence of dimensional manipulation on a scale we believed impossible. They appear to have mastered the ability to exist outside normal spacetime while maintaining coherent civilization structures." Zorath absorbed this information with growing respect for the species he had been ordered to find. "Are you suggesting that humanity developed technology that our most advanced species consider theoretical impossibilities?" "I'm suggesting that we may have made a grave error in assessing their capabilities," Seluane replied. "A species that can vanish an entire civilization without leaving detectable traces possesses knowledge that exceeds our understanding by thousands of years." The search continued across the galaxy with desperate urgency driving every investigation. But as months passed without results, a horrible truth began to emerge. Humanity had not simply hidden from galactic civilization. They had transcended it, moving beyond the physical and technological limitations that constrained every other species. The aliens who had dismissed humans as primitive and dangerous now faced the possibility that they had driven away beings whose capabilities exceeded their own by unimaginable degrees. The galaxy trembled on the edge of collapse while its former saviors existed somewhere beyond reach, protected by sciences that the aliens could not even comprehend. 2 years had passed since the Galactic Council demanded humanity's withdrawal from civilized space. The crystal chambers that had once sparkled with the confidence of ancient civilizations now reflected only the dim emergency lighting that kept the station operational. Half of the council members' seats sat empty as their governments struggled to maintain basic services without human technology. Speaker Zethai's once proud bearing had deteriorated into nervous twitching as he addressed the surviving representatives. His compound eyes darted constantly between the holographic displays showing system failures across the galaxy. His forearms moved in agitated patterns as he spoke through a translator that crackled with static from failing power systems. "The situation has become critical beyond our worst projections," he announced to the sparse assembly. 60% of our member worlds are reporting cascading infrastructure failures. Medical centers can no longer treat basic injuries without human nanobots. Agricultural systems are producing food at levels not seen for 3,000 years. Our industrial capacity has dropped to 20% of pre-evacuation levels. Counselor Vexara of the crystalline hegemony flickered with dim, unstable light patterns, Her once brilliant crystalline form had become cloudy and fractured as the stress of galactic crisis affected even her mineral physiology. Our scientists have attempted to reverse engineer the remaining human technology in our systems. Every effort has failed. The innovations are too integrated, too dependent on principles that we cannot comprehend. Ambassador Tyron of the Void. Swimmers had shrunk to half his normal size, his gelatinous form unable to maintain coherence as his species faced extinction from starvation. 17 of our colony worlds have been abandoned. Our people cannot survive without the agricultural enhancements that human scientists provided. We face the collapse of our entire civilization. The irony was bitter and complete. The species that had existed for millions of years, that had built great empires spanning entire galaxies, that had considered themselves the pinnacle of evolution and wisdom, were dying because they had driven away beings they had dismissed as primitive. Children, Dr. Quintal entered the chamber carrying his final report. The tall, pale researcher looked exhausted and defeated as he approached the council platform. His large black eyes held the weight of impossible failure as he prepared to deliver news that would shatter the last hopes of galactic civilization. Honored counselors, he began, his voice barely above a whisper, I must report that our efforts to locate humanity have ended in complete failure. Fleet Commander Zorath's search operation has investigated over 100,000 star systems, examined neighboring galaxies, and explored every theoretical possibility our scientists could imagine. There is no trace of human civilization anywhere in detectable space. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of failing life support systems. Speaker Zithis' mandibles clicked once, then stopped as he processed the implications of total defeat. Furthermore, Dr. Quintal continued, our analysis indicates that humanity possessed technological capabilities far beyond anything we observed during their time among us. The method of their evacuation suggests mastery of dimensional physics that our most advanced theories consider impossible. They have not hidden from us. They have transcended the physical limitations that govern our existence. Vexara's light patterns dimmed to almost nothing. Are you saying that the species we dismissed as too primitive for galactic civilization had already surpassed us in scientific advancement? I am saying that we made the greatest error in the history of galactic civilization, Dr. Quintal replied. We judged them by our own limitations and failed to recognize capabilities that exceeded our understanding by thousands of years. As if summoned by their desperation, every communication system in the galaxy suddenly activated simultaneously. The failing equipment throughout the council chambers sparked to life with power that should not have been possible. Every screen, every holographic projector, every audio device across galactic space began broadcasting the same signal. The image that appeared was Ambassador Jake Morrison, looking exactly as he had 2 years earlier when he walked out of these same chambers. His gray hair was neat, his uniform crisp, and his weathered face showed no trace of bitterness or anger. Behind him stood the familiar figures of Admiral Lisa Campbell and Dr. Amy Patterson, along with dozens of other humans that the aliens had never seen before. To the members of the Galactic Council and all sentient beings who receive this transmission, Jake began, his voice carrying clearly despite the impossible distance. Humanity sends greetings from our new home beyond your reach. The chamber erupted in sounds of shock and desperate hope. Alien representatives who had given up all expectation of survival suddenly leaned forward in their seats, hanging on every word from the species they had driven away. 2 years ago, you judged our species unworthy of a place among the stars? Jake continued. You demanded our withdrawal from territories we had settled peacefully, from relationships we had built through mutual respect and cooperation. You believe that your advanced age and superior numbers made you the rightful arbiters of galactic civilization. The transmission showed images of human settlements that defied everything the aliens thought they knew about physics. Cities floated in dimensions that folded space around them. Ships traveled between stars using methods that bypassed the known laws of faster-than-light travel. Children played in parks where gravity flowed in patterns that created impossible gardens of floating water and dancing light. You were correct about one thing, Jake said, his expression softening slightly. Humanity is dangerous. We are dangerous to stagnation, to prejudice, to the comfortable assumption that age grants wisdom and might makes right. We are dangerous to anyone who believes that the universe has already revealed all its secrets. Dr. Amy Patterson stepped forward to address the scientific aspects of humanity's transformation. While you struggled to maintain civilizations built on principles established millions of years ago, we have discovered new dimensions of existence. We have learned to fold time itself, to exist in multiple realities simultaneously, to transcend the physical limitations that you consider absolute laws. Admiral Campbell spoke next, her military bearing unchanged, despite the revolutionary environment around her. We did not abandon you out of spite or anger. We simply honored your demand that we remove ourselves from galactic civilization. In doing so, we discovered something wonderful. We no longer need your approval to explore, to grow, to become everything we were meant to be. The transmission showed more impossible sights. Human researchers working with forms of energy that existed outside normal spacetime. Engineers building structures that spanned multiple dimensions. Doctors healing injuries by rewriting the quantum states of damaged tissue. Children learning mathematics that described realities the aliens could not even imagine. Jake Morrison appeared again, his expression becoming more serious. We have not destroyed your civilizations. We have simply stopped supporting them. The technologies you depended upon, the innovations you dismissed as primitive, the problem-solving capabilities you found so unsettling, these were gifts we shared freely in the hope of building lasting friendship. The image shifted to show the current state of human civilization. Billions of people living in harmony with technologies that transformed reality itself. Cities that existed in perfect environmental balance. Spaceships that traveled by reorganizing the structure of space around them. Art and music that incorporated dimensions of beauty that three-dimensional beings could never experience. We have built something greater than the sum of your empires, Jake continued. A civilization founded on principles you could never understand. The idea that diversity of thought creates strength, that cooperation achieves more than domination, that the universe is vast enough for everyone to find their place among the stars. The transmission began to fade, but Jake's final words carried clearly through the failing communication systems. To those species who welcomed us as equals, who valued cooperation over domination, we have not forgotten your friendship. When you are ready to build a truly inclusive galactic community, one based on mutual respect rather than fear, you will find a way to reach us. The screens went dark, leaving the Galactic Council chambers in stunned silence. Outside, across the galaxy, billions of beings absorbed the reality of what they had lost. Humanity had not simply survived their exile. They had evolved beyond the need for galactic civilization entirely. The alien species would survive, eventually. Alternative technologies would be developed over centuries or millennia. New solutions would be found to replace what humanity had provided. But the galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating the power of innovation, creativity, and the dangerous potential of beings who refused to accept that the impossible was truly impossible. In trying to protect themselves from humanity's perceived threat, the Galactic Council had driven away the very force that could have elevated their entire civilization to heights they had never imagined. The stars themselves seemed dimmer now, waiting for the day when wisdom might overcome fear and the galaxy could once again benefit from the dangerous.